Hello, internet viewers. Today we're going to be reviewing Mountain Dew Voltage. Now, I just want to speak a bit about my pedigree as a reviewer. First and foremost, I've tried over 35 flavors of Mountain Dew in my life, so if that isn't a qualification alone, I don't know what is. The other thing is I've been doing reviews for my son for about a year on almost every single new food I taste. So that's also a very good one. Um, so let's go through the process here. Um, First of all, I'm going to be trying it out of the bottle or on the go, as some people prefer to say. Plastic cup, um, ceramic mug, and then I'm going to do a typical glass made of glass. Um, and I'm going to be cleansing my palate between each glass or receptacle. A lot of people like to use crackers or something like that, bread maybe. I don't really support this. I think crackers and bread are a type of starch. And they're carbs, and they turn into sugar, which could affect the balance of the sugar from the drink. I myself prefer to use something that has no relation to sugar at all, so I'm using a dry cured salami, so just salt and protein, the absolute opposite of sugar. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So right out of let's look at the appearance here. So the bottle, kind of lame on the design, if you ask me. You got these lightning streaks in the background here. They're not even really prevalent. Well, that one's pretty okay. The word mountain is misspelled. Dew is okay. Voltage. Now this is very clever. Voltage is a very clever word to use for this beverage because there's no juice, right? So it's devoid of the natural. If they would call it lightning or thunder or something like that, or blue ocean, or just blue in general, that might lead to the misleading idea that there is juice or something natural in there. But voltage is specifically a man-made thing, both in its measurements and its existence in general. The other genius part about that is that voltage is not clear or white or anything like that. It's blue, the least common appearing color in nature. So I think there's a lot of stuff going on under the surface when we talk about Mountain Dew Voltage. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, the other thing is that this is not the Call of Duty bottle that they do have in some places. I always get a bit more excited when I see the Call of Duty packaging on my Mountain Dew, specifically, crazy flavor. On the regular Mountain Dew, whatever, it's there, it's going to be there, that's what sells the most, I get that. But when it's, Voltage, Major Melon, Spark, Code Red, stuff like that, then I start to get excited. I think, I have these fantasies where, first of all, I don't play Call of Duty enough to be excited for that reason, but I do have this fantasy of unscrewing the lids, throwing it in a bucket, getting a big stack of them, and then listing it on Facebook Marketplace for $5. Some dude being all like, "I'll give you $2.50 for it," and me being all like, "Okay," and then going and give it to them, maybe having a general conversation about video games. It kind of elicits a sense of wonder in a gamer. But I don't care for Call of Duty much these days because, with so many free-to-play titles, there's not a lot of point in trying to ask my friends to buy, a copy each. That's kind of ridiculous. Warzone's still good, though. Anyway, so let's start to get into it. Blue cap. I like that. The blue cap is a bit more royal of a blue than the soda and the background of the label, but these banners on the label here are very similar royal blue, and I like royal blues and purples. I think they're very nice. Nice, satisfying, crisp crack when you open it. That's nice. The aromatics are effervescent, and I appreciate that. Sticking with the theme of man-made, synthesized flavor and product and stuff like that, it's very hard to put your finger on what exactly this is supposed to taste like. You know, psychosomatically, I want to say raspberry. All blue is blue raspberry, right? But I don't know if that's the case. Like it's very sweet. With a raspberry, you would expect a kind of an after scent of tartness, but this is more just in your face sweet, like perhaps like a melon of some sort, maybe like a honeydew. Blue melon has been done before. I believe Gatorade has a flavor called Arctic Blast that is melon. It's hard to find that out. You have to look it up. But actually, let's look it up quickly now. What is Voltage? Mountain Dew Voltage flavor. Okay, so raspberry citrus. All right, so I was right about the citrus. Sorry, the raspberry, and then the citrus. I cannot, for the life of me, detect citrus. But let's see what it tastes like. Here we go. Okay. So now that I'm actually thinking about it and focusing on it, like I've had this 100 times before. This is probably my favorite Mountain Dew flavor. Thus the tribute to it. But now that I'm focusing on it, there is that raspberry there. But still the citrus is nowhere to be seen. I don't know what kind of citrus would be so sweet. It's like the raspberry is everything in this that isn't sweet. So to say that the citrus is carrying the rest of the flavor doesn't make sense, because citrus by nature is somewhat sour. I can't think of it, like the sweetest citrus I can think of maybe is like a mandarin or something like that. But still, there's still tartness, right? So I don't really know what's going on there. I think they could have gotten away with just calling it a very sweet raspberry. Now, drinking it straight out of the bottle, I've always enjoyed the ergonomic grip on a Mountain Dew bottle, right? It doesn't seem to be on any other type of soda by Pepsi. You can see the logos built in here. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but I believe it says MD. But nice ergonomic grip. You're not gonna drop your voltage on the sidewalk if you're walking around with it, so that's nice. One of the crappy things about drinking it out of the bottle is obviously the threads on the top. Both a curse and a blessing. They really get in the way of your mouth. But on the other hand, it provides space between your lips and the bottle so that air can get in and you can continue to chug if you're into drinking Mountain Dew very fast. And goes without saying, you can reseal it again. So that's something I really approve of. Drinking a whole, 591 milliliter bottle of Mountain Dew in one sitting isn't particularly good for you. So if you could break that up, I would. But then also it goes flat. It's flat. I don't want that. I can't really tolerate drinking any sodas flat. So again, going back to the flavor, it's kind of advanced for the reasons that it's not clear to identify. So I wouldn't recommend this for a beginner soda drinker. If you're really a beginner, you're gonna in a lighter soda, the darks and the lights, a whole different story. If you're just beginning in lights, the Sprites, you want to move on from Sprite. I'd probably try the the zero sugar Mountain Dew, or what's another good one? Or maybe a Jones bubblegum, because in the zero sugar Mountain Dew, it's much easier to identify the flavor profile when you're not bound by this onslaught of glucose, fructose. The sugar is you have a deeper understanding, and that from that foundation, you can move on to more complex things like, code red or voltage, or even whiteout if you're nuts. Um, yeah, so let's move on to plastic. I think I got my plastic cup here. Oh, I almost forgot to cleanse my palette. That would have been the faux pas of the century. Okay, so here we go. A little bit of the dry cure salami. Chew it on both sides. You don't want to go with the spicy salami. You want to go with mild, basic stuff. I know a lot of the time salami is spicy, but just try your best to get a basic, just pork salami, not a lot of bells and whistles. And this, of course, just distilled water. Alright. Okay, move on to the plastic. So this is, I don't really approve of plastic, not because of, so when you have plastic new, it's great. You're in the honeymoon phase, and that's fine, but I'm very monogamous about my cups, and I feel that no matter how careful you are with plastic, especially if you have a dishwasher and you use it, they're going to get chewed up. The edges are going to get chewed up. They're going to fade in color. The color, this bright green, a lot of plastics are like that. It's just, it plays games with your head. It might psychosomatically affect the way you sense the flavor of a soda. Like, this bright green is like a nuclear kind of sour apple. So I might have that in my head when I'm trying to, taste the raspberry and the citrus. But without further ado, let's... Yeah, well, so this is a newer plastic cup, so it doesn't have a lot of the problems that I'm talking about with it, but it does seem to change things a little bit. The way it approaches my palate, there's a little less focus. It washes over like a tide, not like the bottle is probably one of the most focused ways to drink it, because it's narrow. It goes straight over your tongue into your throat. Probably the way the Mountain Dew people intended you to experience it. Not to say that this is worse or anything, but maybe this isn't just for me. This is one of my kids' cups. It's a really high quality plastic too. Like, if you have like dollar store cups or superstore cups, Walmart cups, just forget about it. You might as well just be drinking it out of a gutter. So, in summary, if you have to go plastic, pick something really high quality, even something in a really reputable brand for children when you're drinking soda, because you want to control your portions. You don't want to drink too much. So you want something small, and I feel with products that they make for children, they are much less likely to break apart, because they don't want kids eating chunks of plastic and stuff. They're much more focused on the quality. So if you have to go plastic, abide by those guidelines. All right, palate cleansing time. This is a salami I had left over from my charcuterie boards from New Year's. Anyone familiar with me knows that I love my charcuterie boards. In the last week. Alright, so now we're going to move on to a ceramic mug. Now, on the idea of color that we were talking about before, I always prefer my mugs to be a very plain color, right? Like white with minimal kind of design. So this is my work mug, and we have different types of blues. and grays on it. The blue is a bit ostentatious for me. I don't like it, but since it's the same color as the Voltage, I don't think it will interfere much with what I'm doing here. At home, I have a tin enamel covered mug. I don't use it for sodas that often, but the idea is the same. It's white with just a tiny green accents on it. But let's get into this. I think in an ideal world, if you're drinking soda out of a mug, and if I was only drinking soda out of this mug, then you would have plain white, gray, black, maybe. Actually, you might want to stay away from black, because, you know, when you have white, you can you can see the bottom of your mug, so that means you can see through. You get the idea that you can see through. You know, when you have black, you can see through it, but you're only seeing black at the bottom, so it's harder to tell what's going on. Now, I don't know if this is strictly true, but I get the sense that the soda reacts to a ceramic cup a bit more. I feel like because it's not as pure as a substance, you know, you got the paint, and then you have the coating, and then you have the actual material that is worked to make the mug. I feel like there's a bit much going on here. Again, wear and tear on your mug. This is an older mug. This isn't a new cup like the other one was new. So it's seen some dishwashers, it's seen some abrasive scrubbing, so perhaps there's cracks appearing in the veneer of the mug, and that's something that you should really consider when you're trying to indulge in the full flavor of your Voltage. Another thing to consider is the angle that you're getting the soda into your mouth. You know, with a plastic or glass, they don't have handles, so they're always going in the same way. But when you take this handle into consideration, the angle it approaches your mouth is different. So when the flavor meets those same areas, it has different timing. Not to say one or the other is wrong to experience. You just might need to think about that as you're going in. This is what I seem to do the most when I'm drinking an artisan soda or Mountain Dew. And that is mostly a convenience thing. I feel like if you have a mug around, you can do anything. You know, you can have your hot chocolate, you can have, you know, like apple cider, you can have milk. You can drink anything out of a mug. It's just purely a convenience product. Like I would, anywhere that I spend a lot of time, you gotta have a mug sitting around just in case. Right? But optimally, I still think the bottle is better than this. I think the plastic is better than this. I'm surprised. I was going into this thinking, you know, plastic is no good, but between that and a worn mug, yeah, I think the plastic wins. If you have a worn plastic and a worn mug, I think the mug would do a bit better. But if a mug, plastic in good condition beats a slightly worn mug. I mean, this isn't too bad. You can see it's not terrible, but okay. Cleanse the palate. That's good. Case actually got this one for me as a gift. Very unusual for me to have this in the house, but it is welcomed, and I appreciate it. distilled water. Now, with any other soda, I think this is what you would normally expect to drink it out of. You go to your friend's house, and they're having pizza, and his mom's pouring out soda. You probably get a glass like this. It's like a typical dinner glass. Horizontal orientation. Almost no design to speak of color-wise, but the stripes going up and down, the little ribs here. Not only are they fantastic visually, I really approve of them ergonomically. No dropping that guy. And I do like the diner look. It reminds me of a diner, and that is something in my mind when I'm having my experience. So let's do one more. There it is. So this is the ultimate version of visual appeal, right? You can see what you're drinking. In this light out of the bottle, it kind of looks a lot like toilet bowl cleaner, which again speaks to the theme of synthetic production. No juice or anything like that. And some people are going to take that different ways. It's just, I kind of like it. I kind of find it comforting that that they're not trying to trick you or anything like that. It's a very honest experience. All right. Oh, that's good. That is the apex of soda experiences. Usually you'd throw an ice cube or two in there. I didn't want to do that this time. I didn't want to water the experience down. But that is a heck of a way to experience your soda. You can see that my glass here, the ribs stop at the top, so that it doesn't interfere with your mouthfeel there. Another good thing about these ribs is I think that they add to the structure of the cup. Like, when I said this was the apex of visual experience, obviously you could get a glass that has nothing on it, no ribs like this, just plain see-through glass. I've never been a fan of that. I find that they break very easy. Other than that, when it's in good condition, it works fine, but I'm not a fan of the shapes they usually take, because when you use glass that isn't, ribbed like this or shaped in any way, the glass has to be thicker at the bottom, and then it kind of tapers off into a thinner glass at the top, kind of like a beaker shaped. And I'm not a fan of that at all, because the thinner glass on your mouth almost feels like it's cutting the corners of your mouth, and then you'll come out looking like Joker, and that's no good, because you don't want to be Joker, you want to be drinking your soda. Go for something that has a uniform thickness the best you can. My partner picked this glass a long time ago, and they've been super good for every kind of soda experience. The glass, it's non-reactive. There's nothing that it can do to affect the flavor of your soda, so that's a good thing right there. You're only tasting soda. You're not getting the hints of the clay of your mug or whatever it's called, acrylic, or the plastic. I find that plastic is very reactive, or flakes. Yeah, this is good. So in conclusion, last place, I think, is the mug. I didn't like that at all. I think it's kind of crappy. Third, Plastic cup, make sure it's in great condition. That is of utmost importance. Also think about the color when you're buying. You might want to go for a muted gray when it comes to plastic. Same with the mug, but I think plastic's a bit more important, the color choice. Then the second best, the bottle. That's great. You always have it with you. I would have liked to try a can, drinking it out of a can, but I've never seen that here in Canada. And number one is the glass. Pour yourself a glass of Mountain Dew, if you can even imagine that. I might actually be the first person who's ever drank Mountain Dew out of a glass. I don't think people do that. But all things considered, you should probably not be drinking Mountain Dew. Okay, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out my hundreds of other videos, and I'll see you later. Thanks.